got one of the best, one of the GOATs, Hall of Famer, Rashad Evans,
What's up?
studio. We're going to talk some UFC. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just enjoying the day.
So there is big news in the UFC with Conor McGregor announcing that he wants to fight again. But that's not as big as you having a comeback.
What?
So you are 40 years old.
Yeah.
When was the last time you fought?
It was about a year and a half ago.
Okay. And you were going to hang it up, and then now you're deciding to come back? Or how does that decision process work out?
Well, I did hang it up, and
Okay.
I, retired, had a Hall of Fame thing for the UFC. And then, I changed my diet, my last year, and, it just completely changed my body. Like, I really retired because I couldn't perform the way I wanted to. I felt as if like my knee was an issue. I had 2 ACL surgeries on my knee, and it just never felt the same again. I didn't have the confidence in my knee anymore, and it kind of affected me mentally, so I didn't perform the way I could have. But ever since I changed my diet, my knee started feeling better. The inflammation went down, and I'm able to train the way I used to. And then, along with that, my mindset about fighting changed as well too. So I'm just like, I'm feeling kind of good. Let me at least get one more.
All right, but now you're talking our language because both Raja and I are fighting the dad bod.
Yeah.
So I want to know some of the
it's
secrets of this
constant
diet.
struggle.
Like, did you go paleo?
No.
What's the secret to your diet? Like,
So-
what was the change?
So I'm a fruitarian. Plant-based diet, but mostly fruit. And it's completely changed my body. When I first started, I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to stick to it. But then once I got over that hump, once I got over that detox feeling and that feeling of feeling weakness, then I started feeling really, really strong. And then I noticed like when I went to the gym and trained, I was training with guys who would be in the gym training every single day, and I would be able to push it as hard as they can, if not harder. And I'm just like, man, this is very weird because I never ever had this happen before. But and I kept getting stronger and stronger, and I'm just like, man, I gotta see, I gotta keep on with this diet, and my body's just completely turned around. Like I don't have to lift weights or nothing like that, and I stay ripped.
Okay. I know, right? We're supposed to go on, and I know we got to talk about Conor, but damn it, we're gonna stay here for 1 second because I've been a vegetarian for a long time. I've never tried fruitarian.
Yeah, fruit. So go ahead.
Yeah, no. Can you just walk me through like what's a diet? Because you train a lot. You're talking protein and things that the body's gonna need, right, to rebuild that muscle. What's a day in of a diet look like?
So I do a lot of smoothies. I do a lot of like a bunch of fruits, and but they all have to be complementing fruits. I don't put too many contradictory fruits together because then it'll mess up your stomach. But I put like fruits together and I put them in a blender, and I do most of that. But when I'm not doing that, I just have something always to snack on, and then I'll even eat some vegetables and stuff too. The problem when people go plant-based diet is that they go too much vegetables, and the truth of the matter is that even though we can eat vegetables, that's not the human preferred food because we don't have enough enzymes to break down all that fibrous food that's in the greens and vegetables, and it doesn't give you that full feeling because it's not the carbohydrates and the sugars that you need
from the fruit.
So when you have the sugars from the fruit, you get that full feeling, and then you feel satisfied.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
this will be my wife's favorite episode. I'm fascinated by it too. I can do a whole hour on it.
A book to get is one by Dr. Arnold Ehret, and it's Mucusless Diet.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We got to get it better terms that aren't so
today.
nasty sounding. Like, my wife will always tell me about
Mucusless
gut
diet.
health and all that stuff. You got to get something that sounds better so it's more attractive to talk about. We'll have to do another special episode on that one. All right, so Conor McGregor has announced his comeback fight. It's going to be January 18th in Las Vegas. This is massive for the sport. How big is it that he's going to come back and return? Probably one of the biggest stars we've seen in the sport.
Well, see, here's the thing about it. It's kind of massive and it's kind of not. And here's why. Is because Conor kind of put a stain on his name since he's been away from the sport with his troubles and his brush with the laws and just, the accusations, the sexual assault accusations and things like that has been coming up. And he did a press tour in Russia, and a lot of those questions started to come up and it kind of frustrated him a little bit. So he's not the media darling that he used to be. So I don't see him getting that push from the UFC as he was getting before. And even Dana White went ahead and said that Conor is no longer the man, Khabib is the man. And when the boss says that, even though he's just Dana White, he has a lot of pull. And when he says, he's no longer the man, people start to be like, yeah, you know what? He is no longer the man, and then they start to change it up a little bit.
That's interesting. So when you are the man, like you pretty much have your pick. But like if he's starting, to try to build that brand again and get back, where do you think he should start? Like what type of fights? Who do you think he gets, first out of the bat?
I think he should get a fight that he should. It's a winnable fight for him, but it's going to be somebody who's a fan favorite, somebody who's going to be able to bring it on the trash talking side and be able to let Conor do his thing. I think that the biggest mistake that Conor made is just being away from the sport too long. Conor, when he's busy, he's not getting in that kind of trouble and everything like that, and he's someone to watch. He just brings it. So I think somebody like Cowboy or maybe Frankie Edgar or somebody who he has a better chance of doing well with. I think he's been in the deep end with a lot of guys who are on fire, and it's not been looking good for him. When your shtick is being that man and you keep getting beat by these guys, you're no longer that man.
Do you think we ever get the Nate Diaz 3 or a rematch with Khabib? Like that's what I think fight fans want to see. Do you think we'll get that eventually?
I see the Diaz. I see the Diaz for sure, but I think that the Khabib fight is a no-go just because of where Conor went with it. He got
personal.
Really personal, really disrespectful, and the way Khabib is, he's a friend of mine, and there's nothing more important to him than his pride and his culture and his family, and he don't care about money or nothing like that. So,
did you think Conor crossed the line going there? Because I was fortunate enough to interview Conor a couple times at my previous job, and knowing the way he would build up fights, he would take shots at everybody, but to most of them, and I know the Khabib after was kind of a mess and was a melee afterwards, but to most of them, he was very complimentary after the fight, and it seemed like a part of the game, part of the promotion, part of the hype. Do you think that's what Conor was doing with that one, or do you think that one truly got personal where it was offensive?
Yeah, he went too far, and here's why. It's like I've been in situations like that where I've had beef with guys with Rampage and John Jones, and I always knew to take it to a point. Even when I knew what John Jones was really about outside the scenes, I only took it to a point and said, "You're gonna be found out one day." And that's all I took it. I didn't put him on blast and say what I seen him doing and everything like that. And same thing with Rampage. I didn't go that extra mile, because when you do that, you cross a line that is not good, and it kind of comes back on you karmatically wrong.
Yeah, that's it's every sport though, right? Like that's not your job,
right?
Crossing that line with people, right? Let me ask you about the Nate Diaz Jorge Masvidal fight this weekend. It's for the BMF title at UCF. What, 244?
244.
Masvidal's a Miami guy, two big personalities. Like, how do you think this one plays out?
I think that I think it's gonna be a great fight, but I think that Diaz is gonna be able to get the fight because the way his fighting style is, he absorbs a lot of punishment in the beginning of the fight, but what he does, he takes your best, and then by you giving your best, you get tired, and then that's when he kicks in to that second and third gear, and it's a gear that a lot of people don't have because he's an endurance athlete. He does triathlons and everything like that, so his best gear is in the second and third half of that fight, and I don't think Masvidal has that level.
So walk me through what happened with Nate Diaz as far as the drug testing, because when I saw that he wasn't cleared, I was like, well, he's probably smoking. Remember the last fight, he's out there with his joint, he's out there promoting marijuana, and he's talking about that. So I was under that maybe he tested positive for marijuana. It wasn't that, though. Then he says he doesn't want to fight. Then he's cleared. Can you just walk me through kind of what happened over the last week with Nate Diaz?
Yeah, so Diaz is a pretty much clean athlete, and everybody knows that, as far as, how he eats and everything like that. So, but what happened when he got tested and failed that test, he was so upset because here's the thing about it. When you start to test you, they don't only test you just that one time. They test you the whole entire camp. So he passed every single test except for one of them. He's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So then he thought it was some kind of, somebody was messing around, with it. But it turned out to be that there was something in one of his vegan supplements that was tainted, and they ended up sorting it out. The good thing about it is that they sorted it out. The bad thing about it is that they sorted it out a little too quickly, and everyone else who's been, set on the back burner by USADA, they got a little upset about it. And I can see why, because if you're going to have something, you got to make it be fair across the whole entire board. But, a lot of money's on the line.
Oh, you're saying like the testing, the agency that tested him, they got to his sample quicker than they do other people's to try to sort it out?
They resolved the case.
Yeah.
They resolved the whole.
It usually lingers a little bit.
Years.
Yeah.
Years, and they sped it up in the course of a week.
Wow.
So no shock there. What do you think about the title that they kind of made up just for this fight this weekend, the BMF, the baddest mother bleeper around? Do you like it, or do you think it's a little corny? Like, where do you stand on that?
I like it, and here's why. I like it because, it's good to have the title fight and everything like that, but there has to be something else to get you excited for, and I think that it does that. It does add a little something more interesting to it than anything. I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing thing with many other people competing for the same title. I don't know how I'll feel if that was continuing to be a thing. If that was continuing to be a thing, then I'll be like, it's kind of
a little gimmicky.
A little gimmicky. Leave it at that.
Who would you give the title of BMF to over all the guys you've faced over the years, or is it you? Are you the BMF?
Oh man, if I'm being
you're
honest,
too nice with us to be the BMF.
If I'm honest, I'll say the baddest man I faced in the octagon was John Jones.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Let me. We asked you who Conor should fight and all of that, and you gave us who you making the comeback. Like, who you want?
Oh man, I don't know, because it all depends on where I go.
Okay.
I may not go back to the UFC.
Okay.
I may go to like Bellator or ONE FC or another organization.
Got it.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to keep you around for some leftovers. You cool with that? We'll do a little bit of NFL. Got to get your take. You're a Bills fan, so I want to get your take on them. We'll do that next here with Rashad Evans on Kanell and Bell.